going on, guys? Deck of the week. Smoke Packs here. We're back. Kind of a hiatus on the Deck of the Week series, but I'm kind of doing a whole new refresher to it, to the Deck Tech series here. We're going to be doing Pauper Commander as we are running and organizing a league. I want to be the first one in and possibly the last one out on this. See if we can get all the other MTG Pack boys in on their Pauper deck techs, because they're relatively easy decks to make. It's a little daunting at first, but once you get a hang of it, you kind of get the Pauper Commander brain, and your brain flies. So, who we got? What are we doing here? I'm bringing Balmor Battlemage Captain. It's a blue-red bird wizard 1/3 flyer. Whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell, creatures you control get +1 and gain trample until end of turn. That trample is big. Getting +1's whatever, but you already in your head, it's blue-red. You're like, oh, yeah, I'm going to cast a Ponder, and then I'm going to cast a Lightning Bolt on turn 3. Get +2, everyone's got trample, and we're swinging, So he's kind of like a Spell Slinger deck, and since we are in the Pauper Commander format with him, your commander in Pauper Commander doesn't have to be legendary, he just kind of is, but it does have to be uncommon. So all the spells I'm going to be using in this deck obviously will be off Pauper rules and will be common. Lands we'll get into a little bit later because this is kind of interesting to talk about the land base, especially in this format. And when we get to there, we'll get to the little token. So I guess off the bat, you're going to think about spells. Now I'm running a huge, maybe we might have to thin this a bit as we keep playtesting, but I've been pretty successful in my playtests. The only thing that's stopping my playstyle so far has been like Soul Herder style Blink decks. Things that remove interaction from that you need to do to a player, or like can stall out, because the mid game in Pauper Commander really matters more than the beginning. Even I feel in competitive Pauper, the mid game is where this format's starting to really go. So I'm trying to figure out how to last into that. So my instants are obviously we're gonna have Shock, Lightning Strike, Lightning Bolt. I kind of just had whatever commons, and some cards that got shifted up or down in rarity. If a card from common got shifted to uncommon, as long as there's a common printing of it, you could use the card. Similarly, if a card that was always uncommon got shifted down to a common from whatever set, you can still use it. So Braid's on the table. You know what? You're not really usually going to be destroying artifacts, but it is good to hit. And I've noticed anything that has 3 defense in this game is kind of a chunky boy. So Fiery Impulse deals 2 damage to target creature or player. You get the spell mastery. It's a Lightning Bolt again. Lightning Axe, I like Lightning Axe just because if there's things that are 4 or stronger in a defense, like if someone's Soul Herders just kind of get a little out of hand early on, I'm pretty good then with Lightning Axe there. So that's my instance in Burn. My instance for counter, and I feel like we might need to go a little bit harder on our counter spells, but Spell Pierce is always great to have. Muddle the Mixture on hand, I've just always had this foil one. I don't want to bling out on you guys too hard, but hey. This is a good combo piece, I feel. I don't have the Peregrine Drake. There's like a whole unlimited combo thing you can do. I feel like Muddle the Mixture is going to really shine. You can pay 3 to transmute it to look for a 2-cost card. Put it into your hand, then shuff. That's going to help us get our combo piece, whatever 2-drop we need to get into there, because Peregrine Drake is like a 3-drop, I think, or a 4-drop. No, Peregrine Drake, I think, is a 3 or 5-drop. The one spell you need is like a 1 or a 2-drop blue, and then Archaeomancer is a 4. So we're gonna have to look for the one spell that would enable the Archaeomancer unlimited combo with Drake. Okay, and since we're dealing with commons, there's not going to be a lot of fetching and searching for creatures like you would in other formats. So I kind of just had to deal with whatever counters I had on hand. Some counters are going to be staples in this format, like I feel like Is It Charm, Spell Pierce, Counter Spell. Lofty Denial is just kind of more flavorful with my deck. Counter target spell, unless its controller pays 1. Those types of spells aren't usually that good. You want to look for something unless its controller pays 2 or a little bit more for generic. But why I liked it, if you control a creature with flying, which we do, they'll pay 4 instead, so it's a big risk I'll take. Daze is great. It's got we always talk about it, cards that give you alternate casting costs rather than paying their main costs are always good. But we just said previous sentence, anything that makes a controller pay 1 is bad. But this actually surprisingly does hit, whatever reason. You'll know when to cast Daze. You'll kind of time it out. Turn aside just as a quick, I don't want to go through everything you're going to see that you're like, yeah, I know that card. But and the deck list will be there on the Aether Hub when we go over to that side. Deck list will be uploaded and tied to the video there. Turn aside I thought was good. Counter target spell that targets a permanent you control. A cheap counter like that, especially for this type of effect, is good to have on hand. Because people are going to try to get rid of Balmor once they see what the whole strategy is with him. They're going to be like, yeah, I gotta get that. I gotta get that bastard. Or some of your other creatures. So this is just good to have in your little toolkit. Calculated Dismissal is just something I had on hand, but it says unless they pay 3, see, that's good to have, I think, especially in Pauper. Negate is a classic hit. Spectral Interference, counter target artifact or creature spell unless its controller pays 4. You don't really want to lean heavy into counter target XX. You want usually just overall counter target spell. But this is good because I've seen cards that, like, I think it's Essence Shatter or something. Counter target spell unless the controller pays like 3. That does get used a lot, so this is a little bit of a better version of that, I feel. So we have that. Goblin Wizardry. I saw in there are brewers in the Pauper Commander scene, in the competitive scene, who I've been seeing their lists and names pop up, their usernames. Some of them are in my league's tournament. I saw this card was in this one gentleman's list, and I had the token, so we had to do it. Had to do it to him. You're going to want to try to go wide with Balmor if you can. Have some spells. This is a little expensive, but have some cheap spells that can create bodies for you to start swinging with or go a little bit wide. That will help for mid-game because you're going to try to be focusing on burning. Some combat tricks are always nice. Just things that help protect you or remove things that are annoying for you, like getting hexproof on Balmor is good. Unsummon's good to just try to get into something that's going to block you or defend. Snap is really good in this format in any blue deck. Return something to someone's hand, and then you get 2 lands untapped. Great. Early Frost is something I'm going to try out. Tap up to 3 target lands. I'm going to try to sneak this in on an opponent's upkeep that is like going to try to fuck with me. So I'll just kind of shut them down. Because 3 lands in Pauper, I think that's big. Stern Dismissal just returns shit. Shore Up is used a lot in blue. Target creature, it's hexproof and a +1. Good to have. We want a lot of draw in Balmor, anything that you can, and we might increase this in the list as we go, but you want a lot of cards that are going to do whatever plus draw. So Frantic Search is going to be good in anything blue. Crimson Wisp Expedite is going to be good in anything red. So that's our instants and in blue and red. Now we want to get into our sorceries, and again, they're going to be similar to our instants. Specifically, our first stuff is going to be, you want to continue the burn. Skewer the Critics is good because it's going to be a 1-cost, 3 damage, another Lightning Bolt type card. Even if it's not at Lightning Bolt speed, it's still good and hits. And the Festivities is, I feel like just red decks need it in Pauper. 1 damage to each opponent, each creature and Planeswalker they control. You're going to hit a lot of their tokens. Flame Rift, again, another card I feel like it's necessary. 4 damage to each player. That is big, a 2 ping, and then we get our Balmor trigger. Same with Sizzle, 3 damage to each opponent. I'll take 4, whatever, but hitting everyone else for 4 is worth it. 3 damage to each opponent, also good with Sizzle. Strangle, I feel like is also required in red decks for Pauper format. 3 damage to target creature or Planeswalker. You're going to use that to get rid of someone's commander. Our sorceries that help us are, again, going to be mostly focused in drawing, but they do have some combat tricks. Like Renegade Tactics, again, is a staple in red. You need to have it. Target creature can't block, draw. Cheap, hits Balmor. Slip Through Space, required for blue. Cheap, hits Balmor. Target creature can't block, draw. Faithless Looting, red, cheap, required for it. Flashback, boom. Preordained, Serum Visions, same. And same with like Brainstorm and stuff like that. You just need them. They draw, they're 1, they're cheap. Lauren Revealed is actually used a lot in Commander, so I'm just going to try to give it a go. Island Cycling, and then you can draw 3 cards as a 5, kind of get my mana curve up a bit. Birthday Escape, free blue, draw, Ring Temp, that's big. Does a lot of things we're going to need. And then Sleight of Hand is just cool, just because I get to manipulate the top of my deck, help kind of reload. Maximize Velocity, it gets us haste, and we get a discard trigger. Plus, we get to get a double haste off this. Forbidden Friendship, again, is one of those cards I was telling you about, similar to the Goblin Wizardry, where you want cheap cards, even though that was a 4-drop, this is a 2-1. This is a 2-drop that gives us 2 bodies. So this is essentially a creature card, okay? If you look at it like that. And then, but it's a creature card that gets a Balmor trigger. So you want to look for things that maybe gets haste, gets tokens out, hits Balmor, gets your tokens beefy, and then you can swing. But you want to maintain a very low mana cost on things. I'd say really try to get into the one cost zone. Just real quick, ramp. Relic of Progentius is very competitive, I feel. Just gets rid of graveyards, gets rid of things that are going to go unlimited. Is it Signet and Arcane Signet, just what I had for ramp. Now, the creature base is really where I think this shines for Balmor. How you want to play him is stuff that has prowess or prowess-like effect. And then you want to also pingers. The all-star of this deck is Thermal Alchemist, and I'd say Firebrand Archer is a second. People really hate these cards. They want to get rid of them. Thermal Alchemist and Firebrand aren't even going to care about a Balmor trigger. Maybe Firebrand because it swings, but Thermal Alchemist is Defender. He's just going to more so play into a strat with Balmor and help you out with that. Firebrand, like I said, ping. Spire side Infiltrator is kind of like I might take him out because he's a 3-drop, but a 3/2. 3 power and then 1 damage to each opponent, and then a Balmor trigger with Trample. I can't pass that up. That's aggro and good, and it's a body on the field. Erebor Flamesmith, Kessig Flame Breather, kind of similar deal. Just cast spells, ping, cast spells, ping. Spellgorger, weird. Gutter. Oh, same with Gutter Snipe. You have to have Gutter Snipe. You have to have Burning Prophet. Whenever you cast a non-creature spell, it's +1, so it'll help itself, plus the Balmor trigger. And you get a Scry. Gutter Snipe is a classic. You need it. 2 damage to each opponent. And then, again, our like prowess types effects. Spellgorger, weird. Cast a non-creature spell +1. Catch a non-creature spell +1 counter. He gets +2 for like a pseudo prowess. And then I'm trying to keep my prowess creature cards at a 2 cost because there are some good 3/1s, especially with flying. But I want some low entry just to keep my curve there. And we still have some more draw in our creatures. Azra Bladeseeker, again, he's a 3/2, pretty big. Get a Balmor trigger on him. Get some draw, get some madness stuff we can hit. Insolent Neonate is a madness enabler. He's a menace also with Balmor, which is great. And a free draw, good trump blocker in red. Similar to Steve, Sakura Tribe Elder, but in red and cheaper. In that it's a chump blocker, that does stuff. Carfell Harbinger, might want to get another one that I saw in my collection that does this. Add 1 blue, spend that to only cast Foretell or cast instant sorcery spells. I found one that cares about flashback, which might be a little bit more beneficial because we got some flashback in there. So I thought that would be a good one. And then Archaeomancer's just waiting around until I get the Peregrine Drake and the other card that's name escapes me at the moment. Until I get the unlimited combo that kind of just want to put in this deck, just so I have it on hand and ready to go. Keep it competitive, keep options open. Not like I want to go for the unlimited combo with this deck, but having Archaeomancer and Peregrine Drake do that is there. Have it there is just great, whatever, okay? Lose my mind here. Now, just real quick, some lands that I think are really good, even if it's not necessarily tied to my manas, like my colors, I mean. Some lands that I think are really good for the deck, or any Pauper Commander deck, I should say, if you're going to be building. Command Tower for 1. I think it's just required, doesn't matter what color, all of the what are these, like the hideouts, basically the generic search lands from New Capenna. Sorry, a burp was in my throat. Pardon me, guys. You want these just because these are good. They search for either one of your commander colors. For me, it's going to be a mountain or an island. And that's 5 searches, which is great. And then you don't need to have, and it gets you a life, which is also better. Then that takes the place of your Terramorphic Expanse or what's the other card? So many cards, different names. Basically, the cards that basically are Terramorphic Expanse, basically, okay? Another type of cycle of lands you should be looking out for, even if it's not tied to blue-red, but the other colors of the color pie, are the Jumpstart lands. These are basically super pseudo dual lands. They're not fetchable, but they tap for one of the color you need, and then you get to choose the other color you don't got. So it's just good mana fixing, because in Pauper Commander, you're going to be playing in a lot of 2-color strategies, and you're not going to, even for me, I feel like I need to thin my basics into more dual to keep my curve and everything going so I can last to that mid game. And even for Balmor, I feel like I could add more draw and more cantrips in this deck to keep him reloading and shooting, so to speak. So I'm not in a situation where I'm in the mid game. I kind of took away all my opponent's good stuff, but now they're able to come back and they're going to kick my ass. Because this is a 1v1 format, but you could also do 4 free-for-all, 4 people free-for-all. So you got to consider where you're going to be at. Cause especially in the 4 people free-for-all matches, that mid game really creeps up around like turn 4, turn 5, and you're like, oh shit. I didn't kill anyone, but I did hurt everyone to where they're at 13 health. But maybe things are going to be different. And again, if you're up against like creature hate decks like Soul Herder and stuff, this deck kind of falls flat on that. I don't know how meta it will be in the competitive scene, but I'm going to try and grind this thing out as much as I can. There is a PAUPER Commander tournament I'm going to try to sign up for that today is March 14th. That is going to be on the 21st. And then my PAUPER Commander League kicks off April 12th, going for like the next like 3 months. So I'm PAUPER brained, I'm with it, I'm in it. I'm still playing Commander, didn't abandon anything, guys, don't worry about me. But as far as deck of the week, we're gonna try and do some PAUPER Commander, maybe even mix in other just regular Commander deck techs too in between. So let me know what you guys think of this. Let me know what you think of Balmor Battlemage. Kind of a go-to for people trying to get into this format. They'll build him right away because he's pretty easy. And blue-red is easy to build in Pauper than it is in other formats because you don't need to worry about the super expensive lands. You already got your lightning bolt and all the spells you would get anyways that you're going to use in those formats. So it's my deck tech. Hope you guys enjoyed it. We'll see you on the next one.